My intention is to give you a quick overview about the status of the STM, this problem that these are now connected to the space debris, and how the common rules and common practices will help for the future to survive and to make this space more sustainable. Next slide, please. Then let me first go for the quick intro. Next one, the three. Then a very quick introduction about the company. I don't know if you are aware about GMV. We are a Spanish company located in Spain, having around 12 subsidiaries in the world, particularly active in Europe and also US. And Europe very active in the area of SST for all the countries that you can see on the screen, like Spain, France, UK, Portugal, Poland, Romania, Belgium, Netherlands, and forget this one, UK, I think. Well, all of them, all in all, we are today the 6th European player in the space business, just after the primes, and we are doing an activity with more approaching 3,000 people today, with around more than 300 million of turnover. Around 60% of our business is connected to the space. Next one, please. In the area of the different activities that we are managing, we are active in different markets like telecom, navigation, Earth observation, launches, and particularly the space debris domain and the area located to SST and STM, on which we are playing a high role in the institutional market with the different agencies in different countries, and also we are playing a role today in the commercial market. We are providing our own services and for different customers to help them to manage the potential risk against collisions with the satellites, with any debris that could be around their assets. Also, we are very active in the future, looking for how the system will be in the future for systems that will be fully autonomous, working autonomously from the onboard capabilities and doing eventual modification on the trajectory from the information they are receiving on board. This is what we call the crane activities of the future, or the removal of debris is really like we call the EDR system. But this is something which we are working for the future. Next one, please. Well, this is a little bit an evolution of our activity in the market, which is going together with the evolution of the objects which are without control, as you can see in the figure. And during the last year, we have been increasing a lot our presence with many activities, many contracts for different customers, and also increasing our activities in the number of engineers. We are approaching today more than 100 people working in different domains connected to SST or STM. Next one, please. In this sense, we have capability today to provide studies, research, and algorithm development for different activities connected to cataloging of the objects, the sensor scheduling and tasking, conjunction prediction, re-entry prediction, fragmentation detection, data operation centers, and integration frameworks with different capability for visualization, SST architecture performance definition, real data processing, operational services, and support for space traffic management, the space domain awareness, and also space environment preservation. We are practically in all the domains connected to this domain, to this activity related to the space debris and everything related to the sustainability. Next one, please. 7, yeah. On the area of space traffic management, particularly, we are today active because we are leading a consortium for the definition of the guidelines of this space traffic management in the area of the European Commission, affecting different user needs, identifying different kind of technologies that can help on this, related to the sensor processing and services, and also connections to the policy, legal, and governance and security, and eventual connections with the air traffic management and as a benchmark of what the space traffic management should be. We are also contributing to the studies for STM standardization, contribution to the IF, chairs of the task force for STM in the aerospace organization, and we have been participating in different coalitions and activities related to nuclear space, also in the definition of the future ISO rules connecting from the ESS standardization activities, and also standardization activities from the CCSDS ATISA, and we are part of different expert groups connected for the STM. Next one, please. Next one. Yeah. Okay. What is what we are living today? Well, we can say that we are sort of pandemic that is affecting us in space. The past is that we increase a lot the activities in space, and then we are we are increasing also the elements which are not desired in this sense. The space debris objects which are dangerous are increasing in the last years, as you can see in the figure. And then we need to define the way in which we can prevent, identify the risk, which is the activities that we are doing today in many countries and in many areas in the world, in defining a system that can help us to identify the objects which are dangerous, and then to define the activities to, in a way, to meet sustainable activity. In a way, we are providing services that help to defend against these objects that are today flying. But the future, what will be? The future should be, is critical today. We need to define the way in which we will not increase, as we are doing today in this exponential way, the object, because it's not in the future, the space will not be accessible. These are some, in the figures, you can see some identifications on how the system will be, or the space debris will evolve in the future with not applying any kind of rule, or we are not considering any limitation on the way in which we will define our space in the future. This is the target of the STM or the STM. The STM is looking for to define the rules and to define the way in which the space will be accessed in the future in order to do something which is really sustainable for us and for our future generations. Next one, please. Well, the way in which we can, how we can reduce this curve that is increasing without a stop. Well, prevention for sure. Define different mitigation guidelines, space laws, standards, best practices. Also, to do a continuous diagnosis and monitoring of the objects in order to identify the risk and the problems. And for sure, trying in the future to apply treatments or cure, I will say, like elements that are going to the space to remove existing objects which are flying without control. Let's go for the next one. Well, the efforts at the end will be driven to or directed to connect to this STM activity, which is not a new topic. It's still something which is lack of agreements or common agreements which are commonly accepted. The situation with the mega constellation that we are living today, with thousands of satellites that are launched and will be launched even in the coming years, are increasing the risk and then increases the concerns related to safety, security, and sustainability. This is the reason why we already started to do some standardization efforts at different levels, like ICO, CNN, ESS, SS. And also there are some industrial push of different coalitions or different companies that are trying to work together to try to define to find agreements, like it is the case, the SDA or the Space Safety Coalition. Also, there are some academic push, like the IAF. And at the end, we are trying to define a political status on which we can be able to work all together. It is in the area, particularly in the US, there is a strong political mandate located in the government of the US targeting the STM. And Europe has also started, we are remembering in particular for US, the US national STM policy in 2018, what we call the SPA3. And Europe is also starting this activity and this positioning from different ways. Next one, please. Particularly in euros, we are they're starting to increase the role and the leading role in the located for the activities for the Europe's autonomy and sovereignty in space. And there are different instruments that are already under deployment at different agencies, different activities, like the USST, which is led by the European Commission, the USPA, and then the SATSEN activities, centers that are also leading activities connected to the definition of future SST system and future STM activities. Of course, the idea is to enlarge the partnership. For example, in ESST, Europe is enlarging the countries involved in the system, in the USST system. We are today more than 16 countries involved on this. We stand for a small group of 5. There are also activities connected to consultation platforms that have been specifically defined in 2021 from the DG DEFIS at the European Commission, and joint communications at different levels to try to put us in a more sensitive approach connected to the STM. Let's go for the next. what is the situation for this STM today? Well, the number of satellites is obviously an obvious problem. We increase the number of satellites, and we are going to a situation where we have potential congestion and collision risk of the asset that we have flying. There is an exponential increase of the space debris, and this is something which has been something we can certify because, for example, we are doing analysis of the database of these objects, and we are continually increasing the number. We are today in more than 30,000 objects, and we were in 20,000 not so long. Then there is a critical need for common rules and regulation to ensure the safety and sustainability in space. We know very well that there is a lack of regulation that can lead to a tragedy if we don't define a real approach in which everyone will be following the same rules and the same aspects to control the future launches and the future operations for the satellite. And obviously, operators have also a big interest to safeguard their own investments and their own assets. They are the first ones interested to try to avoid this catastrophic approach, let's say, for the future. Let's go for the next, please. And in the situation for regulation, there is today a real absence of an overarching international treatment governing STM. There are different coverage at different levels, which are not globally applied. This was the case when we already say for the US in the SPD3, or the Treaty of the Function of the European Union, or the Treaty of the European Union, which are considered in some of those activities, or the technical regulation of the French Space Operations Act, which is what we call the French law in France. There are also, we can consider different global frameworks which are today analyzing supervising the space operations, like the United Nations at different levels, the ITU, the AIDC, and additional organizations that have been created recently connected to the STM. At the end, all of them are going to the guideline, best practice, and definitions of the way in which the operations should be applied, but there is still a lack of complete adherence and compliance from the different players. Let's go to the next one. In this sense, there are a lot of efforts that are in place going for the standardization to definition of these common rules, and this is something which is applied at different levels, particularly at the ISO level, the SESS, or ESA, or different institutions like ESA, which are today proposing certification mechanisms and rules that need to be considered for the future operators that will manage the space operations. Particularly at the ISO, I think it's the next one. At the ICO level, there are today different efforts going to different aspects affecting the space operation, like data exchange, launch and flight operations, space traffic coordination and safety, space sustainability, ground launch. Then you can see different certifications that are today under definition. The blue star is indicating which ones are connected to the activity related to STM. Then one day in the future, we can say that a company will be able to do space operations if they are considering the activities or the rule associated to a particular certification as appear in the screen. Next one, please. Other relevant activities and guidelines that are best practices that are in place is, for example, from ESA, there are guidelines for the safe or sustainable close operations, proximity operations, and space debris mitigation policy. NASA is also defining activities limiting the orbital debris, or handbook for limiting orbital debris and spacecraft conjunction assessment and collision, European Code of Conduct, US government orbital debris mitigation standard practices. There are many rules and definitions and best practices which are today under application, not application, under the final definition and putting on the table today to be considered for the future of the different operators that will manage these satellite operations. And this is really important. Next one, please. What is important at the end is to do an knowledge of these common rules. The principles for the common rules at the end will be cooperation, coordination, and collaboration. between all actors in space. This is mandatory. This is very important that all of the operators, existing operators, future operators, services provider, launchers, everyone should take into account what is the situation of the space and what are the rules that they need to apply to avoid the increase of debris, and also to help in the management of the existing ones. The rules, of course, the rules should go for to prioritize safety, sustainability, and efficiency on the space operations, and of course enforce the accountability. Regulations should be flexible enough and adaptable to the new technologies and changing circumstances. And again, it's important that everyone is applying this. There is no sense that one region all in the world is considering this, for example, in Europe or in US, and we have having problems or issues coming from other countries which are not adapted to this domain. For sure, we shall also cover all the missions affecting the space satellites, like from the definition, from the beginning, from the design, the manufacturing, the launch, or the or different levels of operations, in orbit operations, servicing, on end of life and disposal. Particularly in the end of life and disposal is an area in which we need to increase our analysis and our compromise. The operators and satellite manufacturers and responsible for the assets in space should maintain a specific rules to remove in a safe way the objects that they are launching, and in order to avoid the presence of future debris that will increase even more our existing database. Next one, please. For the implementation of the common rules, there should be an adherence and compliance with the space debris mitigation practice, let's say, in a gradually approach. Of course, so we will incorporate more and more companies. At least today the case, there are the new companies have more and more they are sensitive against the problem that we can define. There should be minimum threshold required to assuring the long-term sustainability. We are not yet in this minimum threshold, which is required to assure that the problems will disappear in a near future. Then why we are there? Because, well, there are still we are not this minimum one. Well, there is still a lack of enforcement and incentives for the companies. There is still a high cost associated to the compliance. It's something that should come, and clear consequence of the non-adherence. What happens if we are not following the rules that somebody is asking me to support in order to assure the safety of the stability of the system, the strategic interest for the future, overlapping with other requirements. Well, at the end, it should be important and interesting that we are incorporating the different companies to the national legislation, which is the only way, I guess, to guarantee that the rules will be applied. Let's finish to saying that these STM common rules are essential. I don't believe there is a way to progress without the applications of this new, let's say, policy or laws that we need to apply in order to assure the sustainability of the space. And this will require international cooperation, that I was saying before, to reach a critical mass of people following those rules, and to have a continuous monitoring and enforcement to assure the compliance from everyone. And on this, I was talking a lot about institutions and governments, but also the private sector will play a crucial role. I think it's my last slide. Next one, please. That's all. Thank you very much. Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I was just on mute.
Okay.
Thank you, Miguel, once again. I mean, that was very insightful, and for people, as we continue to discuss through the entire 4 days of the event, and obviously you talked about STM common rules last year as well, but we cannot emphasize this enough. And now, obviously, as you're kind of going through the current updated version of the presentation. It seems like there are now handbooks and rules that are being created, but obviously enforcing these policies and monitoring companies, once as I get to mention, just to making sure that they're following the guidelines in terms of STM. But some of the questions that I have here, if you don't mind, just a few of those. What will be the main principles and guidelines of the common rules for space proposed by the STM initiative, and how do they relate to existing international space treaties and agreements?
Well, I think there are, well, we need to apply rules at different levels. There are quality of the satellite, of the space asset that we will launch in the future is something that needs to be considered and to be taken into account. In a certain way, we cannot launch whatever we want. We need to consider that the system are able to be robots, enough robots for the to support the launch, to support the operation during the lifetime. And this is something today that is not the case for all the satellites that we are launching. This is one aspect, and there is a second aspect which is also relevant, is the aspect connected to the end of life of the systems. We need to be enough. Let's say, coherent in the way in which we are providing our operations and our services. And at the end, we need to be aware that the system should go in a safe place. The safe place could be a parking orbit in which it is not doing any damage to others, or we are able to do a safe re-entry of the object without any problem for the future for the satellite that will fly around the same orbit where we are operating. For me, there are these two main approaches that need to be considered and need to be taken into account. And the second one is very important because it's also affecting the business. It's also affecting the real lifetime of the satellites. And at the end, lifetime is money, and money is the business, and it's the reason why we are launching. Then there will be a compromise for the full set of for all the actors. There will be a compromise that the business will be not affected, and at the end we will have a safe operation of the satellites.
Thank you, Miguel. And a couple more questions, if you don't mind. So in terms of STM initiative and proposing to regulate the activities of both government and commercial entities in space, what mechanisms will there be used to, when we talked about enforcing compliance with the common rules?
Well, this is an important point, but for me it's the critical point. Is today we are working to define at different levels, different organizations, private, institutional, to define the rules, to define the way in which this will be sustainable. But the point is how we apply this. Eventually, we can say you are not able to launch if you are not following these aspects. If you don't cover these rules, these initial rules, and you are not doing the operation in this way, and you are not demonstrating that your system is enough, your operation systems is not enough robots to support eventual issues with existing debris, and you are not applying these operations, the operation in this way, you are not able, you will not launch the satellite. This will be the final end. How we apply this, I can understand that this is very difficult to be applied if we are not doing this in a global way, because if not, again, we are affecting the business. We will be affecting some companies and not others. Will be countries that will apply this and not others. Then if we are not doing a common approach, then the problems will start, and then nobody will follow, because they will say, well, I will move from this country to another one because they are more relaxed in these activities. Then what is important is that the full space business, the full ecosystem is considering these rules in a global way. And how we apply this, there is no other way that going through international organisms, international entities, and through an international corporation. There is no other ways. And of course, behind the rules should be a way to penalize the people. If not, there should be no way to consider to apply the associated rules. There should be a way to penalize. And one way to penalize is you will not able to launch if you are not following the set of procedures or set of activities that will guarantee that you will be safe.
And while we're on the topic, so also, how does the development of the STM initiative fit into broader context when you're talking about international space policy and governance? And what impact is it likely to have on the future of space exploration and utilization?
Well, when you say, see, we're talking about space exploration, is space exploration to go to other planets, the moon, the Mars. Well, today we are not there. Today, I think that the big problem is around the Earth, is around us. I don't believe that we will start to put debris also in the moon or in the Mars in a near future. When we will be there, probably we will be enough responsible on Earth, and then we will not affect other planets. But today, the major issue for sure, is located at LEO level, and eventually geo orbits. And in this sense, again, there is no way. Well, there is no way. We need to solve the current issues and the current problems that we are supporting today if we want to go for a safe and sustainable space activities. And for me, it means also the way in which we will go to the moon or to the Mars. Because if not, eventually it will be very difficult to launch anything going to anywhere.
That's a very good point. So let's just finish with that. And obviously, you know, hopefully, again, the companies will follow the rules, they follow the guidelines, and they don't have to be too much enforced and looked at, you know, and they're just going to behave. Hopefully, that's going to be the case. But Miguel, once again, thank you for the updates, and thank you for bringing and shining more awareness towards this very important topic as we continue to discuss. And hopefully we can have you back once again next year with some even recent updates regarding STM.
I will try, because things are moving a lot. Things are moving a lot today. There are many activities in different big players and big countries, and I believe that we will see a result very soon.